Welcome everyone for my talk, Architectural Practices Driving Successful Digital Transformation. Improve your business with domain-driven design. The key takeaways from this session are understanding the fundamental of domain-driven design, the process, how to apply the domain-driven design in your organization effectively, and the essential tools which is going to use to implement DDD in your organizations. I'm the head of architecture in a Danske Bank, leading the digital transformation journey for our core banking systems. And I'm passionate about business-focused architecture for tomorrow, bridging technology and innovations. So Danske Bank is Denmark's largest bank, who operates in a Nordic area, and heavily invested into the digital transformation journey, where one of the primary toolbox, what we have is domain-driven design in this journey. And we are practicing DDD since last 5 years, and the processes are quite matured, and we started getting real value out of it. So I'll be sharing the journey, how it happened, and what are the key artifacts as an architect or as a developer you need to focus driving from business to the tech in this session. I also have a decades of experience in IoT and mentored a large number of professionals in IoT at IIT Madras. So feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, and if you have questions, you can mail me later as well. Well, how many of you are familiar with domain-driven design? Okay, decent number. So good. By definition, it is a principle, practice, and patterns which is being used to basically, model a business in a software. So keeping the business into the prime phase, which drives the software to develop in a model. That is the main idea behind this. And the DDD is powered by ubiquitous language, which is term has been given by the Eric Evan, who is the inventor of DDD, when the Blue Book, which is famous Blue Book, has been launched in year 2003, and then that term has come out. But it's a shared language across the stakeholders. When in a business, when customer talks their needs, whatever vocabularies, grammars they use, the same terminologies and vocabularies advisor uses, and then same actually our business developers, our engineers are being used, and same goes into the code base. So that is the idea behind ubiquitous language. DDD operates in a two-level, strategic DDD and tactical DDD. So strategic DDD is basically where we mainly focus on, to understand the breadth and landscape of the domain, breadth of the domain. And after having that understanding into the board, we get into the cohesive functionality of the business together and basically create the subdomains and categorize them as a core domain, supporting subdomain, and generic subdomains. And that leads to basically whether to decide our stakeholders or leaders whether we have to go into the buy versus build. And I'll share more details into it. So at the strategic level, we have a landscape of the domain with us, and then the cohesive functionality together with the boundary around it, and that you can use to visualize your complexities in a very simple manner to the top stakeholders. And at the second level, it's a tactical DDD, where a lot of patterns and practices will come once you have a business in your board. then bring that business into your software. And that's where a lot of building blocks are there: aggregates, bounded context, uh, uh, entities, value object, to basically model your business into the software. So I'll drive and give you the key artifacts, how you can see the business and how slowly you can deep dive, zoom in into up to your code base. But question is, why do we need the DDD? We all are, always, this is talking about the AI and everything is AI. But why do we need in enterprise DDD? Why can't we do everything as by an AI? Okay. So you can, this is a question you can go back and think. But why do we need DDD in enterprise? So if you can see the picture below, is without DDD, the city has been grown, which cannot be maintained easily, cannot be extend or scale, right? And with DDD, you can see, loosely coupled, well-planned city, loosely coupled systems where you can adapt the new business model. When AI started coming up, how you can scale with the AI features into our legacy code base, right? And easily scale them. So that maintainability DDD gives. So important idea of domain-driven design is your business should derive your software model, not other way around. But how to go about it? So how we have gone, and it is a standard practice we have followed. We start with the problem domain and invite all the stakeholders, coming from business stakeholders, domain architects, experts, our technical team, architects, product owner, and into the room, whether it is online or offline, and have a longer workshop on that. So, we practiced like 3 hours kind of workshop, weekly, twice or thrice. And it is a series of workshop we do for close to, it completely depends on the domain which we are discovering it, close to 3 weeks, 4 weeks kind of, to get at least certain level to get into the solution mode. So basically what we do into the workshop is we start with the domain discovery collaboratively. And how do we capture them? Then definitely you need to have certain frameworks, tools applied, like our most used framework are event storming we use, which is my favorite as well. And you may use storytelling and Wordly mapping tools in this place. And then have the knowledge of entire breadth of the domain into the board. And then discuss and try to create a boundary around the cohesive functionality of the business into the boundary that will started coming up as a subdomains or in solution mode, bounded context. Then, once we have the breadth discovery achieved, then get with the smaller group of team members in-depth search. And that's where we apply the process modeling event storming and software design event storming to get into the details of the till the model. And categorize them, whether you will be having the core domain, which reflects your business, or a supporting domain, which basically supports your business, or a generic subdomains, kind of Google Map, right? As an example, if map is available, why we have to invent in our business, right? So here you can decide which one you have to build, buy, or basically outsource. Remember, in this exercise, the goal is to gain the knowledge and bridge the gap between business and technical team. The main principle of domain-driven design, as I mentioned, is ubiquitous language. If you see in a business, the customer talks the language, their needs, the grammar, whatever they used, the terms, whatever they used, exactly same is being transferred to the advisor, and same is being used by the business developer, and then it goes to the software engineers. And software engineers also practice the same into your functions, methods, or into the database and columns. The same language, same vocabulary is being used everywhere. So this practice is basically drastically improve your miscommunication and improve your productivity. So if you are applying DDD in your organization, make sure that all the stakeholders speak the same language within the context. But how to go with this process, right? What are the different steps involved in this? So there are a standard way, 8-step processes are there. Definitely, this is not a waterfall. One step gives the input to the other step, but it is an iterative process where at the alignment, business model and user needs has been defined, and that doesn't need a workshop. It is a short meetings with the stakeholders can be captured, and one of the tools we are using for this is business model canvas. And next we go to the collaborative discovery, where we use event storming or storytelling framework, where we discover the domain, entire domain, what are the problems, what are the opportunities we have to improve, and then categorize them, and then next step we go to the decompose, where we are creating the boundary on it, and here context map, bounded context and context map patterns we are using it, and then connect them. So when you have in an enterprise, when you have a multiple subdomains defined, how you gonna share the data and capabilities with the different subdomains? So we have a standard patterns on this one of, so that we are using bounded context context map patterns. So for an example, anti-corruption layer, open host services, shared kernel. So these are the patterns are being used to share the data from one bounded context to the another bounded context, right? And later it will come, you might be having the question, why not API event? So it will come later. But first level, how you're gonna share the data and capability from one team to other team, one domain to other domain in enterprise. That is important. And then strategize them with the, whether it is a core domain, supporting subdomain or generic subdomain, to decide whether I have to go for buy, build, or outsource. So here, for categorization, we are using Wardley mapping to categorize. And then, strategize, and then categorize. In the categorization phase, we use the team topologies to assign the team for that particular bounded context to work on, right? And then it will come to the define. So some of the frameworks are there, like bounded context canvas, to define your and document your bounded context into it. What are the capability you are being exposed from that particular bounded context, and what are you are going to consume from other domains, whether it is an event, APIs, synchronous, asynchronous, or it is a query. So that definition will come. And then it will come to the code. So here we go to the solution mode. And using some of the framework like C4 model, we document it into the context, container, and component. And then it will basically, you need to design your code base in a such a way that it will give the layered architecture. So that's where we are using hexagonal architecture with the DDD. So that will come here. And remember that it is an iterative process. It's important because you go back again and change your business domain based on your learning. So it is not a waterfall methodology. One of the important tool in a enterprise system is, it is not a very standard one. I would say it is we have invented, and it is very helpful for our organization. And it is influenced from the bounded context and context map. So this gives us the interdependencies between the different domains. So when entire organization in a digital transformation journey, some of the domains are already in a legacy, some having different priorities to implement or modernize, and some of them already having certain capabilities available. So to have entire clear visualization to have the systems thinking, right? So this collaboration map is very useful. We have used. Might be when you try, might be it will be useful. You can have a look. All right. So architects and senior developers can connect with this slides very well. In an enterprise, if you see the architecture high-level process stages, they are mainly three, right? So business strategy alignment at a high level, business strategy alignment, where what you have a business model and current state, business model, future state, then value chain from current state to future state. But how actually you will document? It is, you cannot go ahead and in Confluence or some place you can document the way you want, right? So it will not be scalable or it will not be maintainable. So we are using business model canvas for the for current to future state, and Wardley mapping is very, very useful for value chain from current to future to capture. So some of the tools I'm giving with this slide which you can probably play around, and I'm also sharing learning links on this. At target architecture design, in the target architecture design at the enterprise level also you can have a IT strategy, IT portfolio strategy, then domain architecture, platform architecture, technical architecture, and organizational architecture, right? So if you see, mainly we have a reach of one of this box somewhere, right? Alone we don't work on to all the places, but whenever you grow in your career, basically, so you will be having, if you have this toolbox with you, easily you can see the entire organization's, domain charts with you, and you can play around with the at the enterprise level. So in IT portfolio strategy, we are using core domain charts, domain architecture, we are using event storming, bounded context mapping patterns. Technical architecture, usually we write a component diagram, right? But we all know how inefficient it is. It is very difficult. After creating one component diagram, we have to write a lot of text around it. Otherwise, nobody will understand. I must suggest that if you start learning C4 model, which will be very, very helpful. I have introduced, it is not, it's a Simon Brown who have invented it, but I've started practicing, and it is like really good, I would say. So it explains any workflow. If you run this, it will give you the context, container, and component way. No need to go and develop the code place into the architecture, but yeah, 3-layer is sufficient to go ahead and have. So likewise, a lot of patterns I have mentioned on this slide, and some of the links I'm sharing along with this, which will be helpful. So this is my end of slide, but along with this, what I'm going to share is some of the appendix, where you can try to visualize how exactly from business to your software, what are the key deliverables you can have as a leader or as an architect in your team. So Some of the slides I'm sharing just to whoever is new in domain-driven design, you can go through this books. So the blue book is famous one, and then implementation perspective. Von Vernon's book is very good. You can play around this and mind map. So for a strategic, what are the important patterns are available? You can just have a look and create a mind map. And also, domain-driven design is not only for modernizing the legacy system. It's for greenfield project as well. Okay, and some information I'm sharing around what is actually a domain in this context, what is the subdomains. Go and have a read if you like. What is bounded context and how to document the bounded context to visualize as a weather event and all. So bounded context canvas, I'm sharing the link as well to read and practice. And when you have a multiple bounded context discovered, then how context map will look and what are the patterns are available to basically share the data from one bounded context to the another bounded context. When one system, one bounded context being at a upstream, another one is in downstream, how you're going to share the data, whether it is a partnership-based, because two different teams are working for that, right? Or it is an anti-corruption layer, you will be sharing your model and other has to adapt in your model, or it's an open host services, whether you send a request and they have to give their model and you work on top of that. So this is at the domain level, and based on that, you can decide whether I have to go ahead with which technology, asynchronous, synchronous, or so and so forth. How to visualize this? So for the domain level, you have seen you have a big picture and context map and bounded context with you. But how to visualize them as a software? Then we have a certain building blocks in the DDD, is aggregates, entities, value object, domain events. So with this, domain model is being created, right? And that domain model will be valid within that bounded context. And how the domain model may look like entity diagram you might connect, but it is not entity diagram. Entity diagram is a dynamic design pattern where it is having attributes and just getter setter kind of stuff, right? And always, if you connect, when you write the software, you will be keep writing the business logic into the service layer, which is an anti pattern. With the DDD, it comes as a rich behavior where each entity aggregates will be having the business logic into it. Whatever business logic doesn't fit under the entities or value object, that will only go for the service layer. And hexagonal pattern, I think all of you are familiar with, must be familiar with. So how DDD are aligned with the hexagonal architecture? You can see business model, which is a domain model, being into the center, you have a very thin layer, services and repositories outside of it, right? On top of that. And then left side being as a interface layer and infrastructure layer to connect with your database or Kafka or event streaming platform, cloud, services, or whatever it may be. What is the idea behind is all the business logic, your business logic should go inside your domain model, right? And that's where all the capability, whatever this domain, this bounded context is capable enough to expose should come from your interface layer. So that it says, and along with this, how you can look your package in your source code, right? It may look like this. So one example I've given, which is I've taken from the Java, but yeah, you may create a similar in a different languages as well. So your API layer, which is an interface layer, within the API, your controller and controllers will come. And then you have a main domain layers. Within your domains or aggregates, entities, value object, your DTO classes will come inside of it. And then your infrastructure, where all the clients which is going to connect with, whether it is a database or any cloud services, all the clients' communication will happen or basically organized within the infrastructure. Yeah. So, as a as a DDD evangelist or an architect, enterprise architect, what are the key deliverables you can see from the business stakeholders when you talk till your software? You can see in this. You have options like you can play to have a big picture understanding with the big picture use case modeling or event storming. It may look like this, right? Color coding are very important here to read out your processes and entire business into the board. And that we use MyRobot for online collaboration and documentation. You may use also if like entire team can collaborate within the physically within the room, you can have a big banner into the room and collaborate and have a colorful stickies and learn what sticky means what in event storming and play around that. And then you can use that for understanding. And then once you have that big picture understanding, and then you have context map with you. So these are the subdomains we have and how we're gonna connect it. Then zoom in for one particular bounded context. Your document will look like this. And this is bounded context canvas document Nicktoon has developed. It is very, very useful in enterprises. It will say what are your inbound communication, whether it is an event being consumed from your domain, or it is a command or query, or what are the capabilities, or what are the communication outgoing it has, and what is the categorization of this bounded context. You can document and keep using. So architecture is also not like you can do architecture today and you can keep it. It is a keep architecting. So these are the frameworks will help you out to basically keep architecting. And then within the bounded context, this is the domain model, which is valid, and around this, your business logic, your software will be built. And then what are the capabilities are being, we use the resource modeling tool to basically showcase all the capabilities is being exposed from bounded context. And then we apply the contract first API design to basically first document it and then go ahead and implement. And C4 model, one of the example of C4 model I'm sharing, which will be very helpful in your solution design. And then last not least, early in your process, please include shift left FinOps culture, which will help you to cost-aware engineering decisions. This is very, very important. I'm sharing the document. Please go have a look on this. And I'm sharing all the frameworks, learning materials here. It might be helpful. So thank you. Have a happy learning. So if you have a question, you can, I have a 1 minute to answer, or you can scan and raise the question on. So I'm active on LinkedIn. So